everybody. First off, did you get the chance to eat pizza? Yep. Okay, so there's one left over there, by the way. Do I need the mic? Are you okay if I just speak without the mic? If you can't hear me, just let me know. I'll bring up the mic. But first off, thanks to Matt and the software team for having the pizza, and also Coco for having this facility. Thank you. So, let me talk a bit about myself. I've been in the IT industry for 20 years, but for some strange reason, I started moving over to data management. It probably happens about 2011. I started working with Novell. Anybody here remember Novell in the old ugly days? And then with Novell, you got to back it up, and I had to run Robocopy, or the other option is Oxer. Anybody use Oxer? Okay. So we'll talk about Oxer. We'll talk. We'll have some beer after the old days. But back then, I was doing a bit of data management and data backup, and I was working for a consulting company, and then they said, hey, Con, you know, a bit about backup, you know, a bit about networking. Hey, we got our organization, I need a bit of help. So I did. Then I joined up, I went on site, I worked for a good 6-7 months, and I had to help them with the backup department. The first thing I asked them, what do you want me to back up? Next slide, please. And they said, next slide. So forward. Okay. So they asked me, I asked them, what do you need to back up? Anything and everything. So what I've been finding throughout the IT industry is just back up and figure what to do. If it's monthly, keep it for 7 months, 7 years. If it's yearly, keep it forever. In this case, I was working for a law firm for a courthouse. So they want me to back up everything. They want me to keep yearly forever. So what tends to happen for me was, all right, fine, being pretty green in the backup industry, I didn't want to tell them that, so I back up the whole thing. Operating system, data. The full backup took 2.5 days, and incremental backup took roughly almost a day. So I'll run it early in the evening if I went home, and then I'll run for a good 11 hours. So over time, I started asking, okay, data's growing, I need more disk, I need more tape, and it becomes a nightmare. And the 2.5 days turn out to be 3 and 4 days. So it's really crazy. But they have no sense of ideas of what they want me to back up. So one of the challenges I had back then was back up everything and anything. Just before I move forward, just want to show hands, how many people here are developers? How many people here are IT consultants or working for research? So over half are developers, right? So the question I have as a developer, we can think about this as I go through this process. What the data that you generate, are you backing it up yourself? Or are you relying on IT to back it up? You back it yourself, okay. Is there an expectation that IT will back it up for you? You know, but the idea is they're supposed to, right? So that's a mixed bag. There are companies that's got an IT department. There are companies got the developer department. So the idea is IT is supposed to back up the infrastructure and also the data. But from a development point of view, you're going to have changes throughout the day. And having that connection, and what I found, I think the focus structure is broken. There's really not a lot of communication between the business, IT infrastructure, and the application guys.
So you come into that ops, your operation.
Yeah, so there's going to be a way for everybody to have that communication, that unified communication. If you don't have that, there really is no trust, and that's how it comes down to the problem of IT backing up everything and anything, because you have no idea what's relevant, what's important. Next slide. So what I did throughout my IT career is I actually did find a way, and it was really tough. It's even worse than the root canal that I had. And I really had to go through each and every department because they pay me for this. So I think it was a lot of motivation for them to allow me to talk to different stakeholders throughout the organization. What I was able to do is I went in and I classified the data. What's important to you? And then who's running those applications? And how much does each employee, how much do they charge out per hour? And then you times up by the application. So at the end of the engagement, we were able to identify that this data is really important. You really need to back it up. And then you need to identify how quickly do you want it up and running. Do you want it up and running in an hour? Are you okay with a whole day? As we all know, the quicker you want it, the more it costs. Recovery time objective and recovery point objective. So there's different point in time that you can back up your data. And there's also when do you want to bring it up and running. Traditional way of doing things is broken. You can't do that. And then the other thing that I kind of get across to when you have a critical application that you need to back up, you need to align that with the services that are tied to that application. For example, let's look at, so I took this example with the word tax coming around the corner, and it's an accounting kind of organization. So for them, Excel, Word, it's really important. Also the case where the tax program. But those applications are tied to things such as file services. They're also tied to Active Directory. There might also be databases. So to be able to understand the application that's important to you, and then tie that down to how do I keep this application up and running. So it's a whole process in terms of identifying it. It can become pretty complex, but if you really break it down and define what you need to accomplish, I think at the end of the day, you have a clear black and white picture of what you really want to accomplish. And that's the message I want to get out this evening. Because a lot of times, a lot of organizations say just back up everything and anything. But at the end of the day, do you really know why you're backing up? Do you really need to back up 600 gigabytes of operating system? And you need to do that every day? If you do, that's great. The storage guys will love you because they're going to sell more disk space. But it's not doing the organization any benefit in terms of backing up so much data, which you can streamline that a little better. So if you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask me. And if it's quick, I'll answer it. If it's a long-winded answer, I'll leave it to the end. Next slide, please. So what I have come up through the industry from the beginning to now, there's a lot of changes in technology. There's a lot of different ways that you can do things. At the end of the day, the thing come and go is we need to back up the data. Do we really need to back up the data? If I don't have to, I won't. But if I have to, I will. And that comes down to, as an organization, what do you want me to back up? Do you want me to back up video files, data files? And then we align them with the right technology. Some are a lot more expensive than others, but ultimately they'll do the same thing. It might take longer to go from here to Surrey, depending which path you want. You want the free path and you want a paid path. It kind of all depends. So we start off from the beginning. It's pretty straightforward. How many here has done some mainframe programming? I heard about it. I haven't done any mainframe backup, so thank goodness. But what I heard was back then it's direct attach. You got a tape drive. Typically the size of this building, the size of this room maybe, and they have multiple tapes, and the mainframe's only two, and it's a direct connection to it, and then so you stream data to it. Next slide. Or next. And then we got a little more fancier. Novell and Windows came out and made things a little more complicated. Now you got multiple applications on different systems. You got web and you got the end users which you need to back up. So what typically happens here if you have agents running out throughout the enterprise and you got a centralized backup system that goes out, gathers the data, and puts it into tape.
I guess discs got cheaper, but tape was still the cheapest.
Tape will always be cheaper.
Or wall.
Right, from an operation, we can have that discussion, but tape from a capacity point of view, it's always going to be cheaper. You add in dedupe and that kind of skews the number a bit, but in whole, it's a little cheaper for us at this stage here. And it gets really interesting. Did that answer my question?
Yeah, I just thought I'd point that part of the progression of what's happening in that movement to the cloud, or SSDs.
I think it's sequential, it's a long time, and then like the other is a random thing.
Yeah, tape actually is a lot faster than this, but if you can force it enough, that's the other challenge. You have a question? No? Okay. So we went to multiple sources. You need a backup to tape, and then the data started to grow by this time, and then a lot of storage companies put in NetApp, but there's other ones, BNC, or so I'm not tied to a vendor specific or independent. But what we started to do is, what if we get rid of backup stuff? What if we could just take snapshots of it, and snapshots are quick, within a second or so, and then cross your fingers, crash consistency. Hopefully you're running Windows 2008 and it's supporting, you're fine. And then just replicate the snapshot. And then, so now you're not affecting production. And NetApp's got some great integration with application where you flush the data to disk from memory, and then you get a pretty clean file system, and then you can snap that and replicate that. And then lastly, now we can send it to tape at any time we want. During the day, we can do it off-site, so we're stuck in a client. So that kind of helps us in a way that we're not affecting production. Next slide. And then smaller companies that we can't do this, it's way too expensive. You're looking at 6-figure range. So, and say that this is starting to come out and it's pretty cost effective. So what organizations are doing, okay, if I have small enough data, I'm gonna back up to disk. If my data is big, maybe I'll keep it on disk for a week or a month, depending what my retention is, and then anything longer than that, I'm gonna shoot it off to tape. And because I don't have a secondary site, cloud is too new and on the scale of the cloud, so I'm going to put it to tape and I'm going to drive to my garage and extract it a bit. Next slide. And then this is when it gets interesting. So the duplication started coming out by 2005-ish, and then this idea of having a disk repository that's about a terabyte, be able to store 20 plus terabyte of data. Anybody here understand what dedupe is? So finding redundancy, I guess the simple term, that's a slide I'll talk about, but the idea is finding redundancy in your data and be able to put metadata in. If
like everybody got the same PDF from the boss.
Yeah, so the color's the same, the words are the same, it's got a T, so with the T, we'll transfer that from a block, we'll put a metadata, which is typically 4K, and anything that's the same, we'll keep metadata. If it's unique, we'll write it down to disk. So, especially virtualization and Windows operating system, if you're doing a lot of full backup, you're not going to be writing that 20 terabyte of data over and over again. You're going to be writing 5% of that. So that becomes very compelling for organizations that be able to back up to disk and keep that for X number of months. And then this is when they didn't make say, tape sucks, just get rid of tape. So because the appliance will allow you to replicate it to another bigger main appliance, and then you get a bigger box and keep your retention a lot longer, but the price is full. Because this tape is pretty cost effective. That's the value of it. You can store the data right away. You can stream multiple backup tape multiple backup sets into this appliance at any one time. So that becomes a pretty compelling reason here. Next. And then virtualization becomes pretty hot. So another backup product that came into the market is Veeam. Anybody using Veeam in their environment?
Expensive.
Not too expensive. So when I was working at this courthouse, they were using NetBackup, backing up 7 systems. And we saw the cost of Veeam, it was a no-brainer based on the maintenance cost. So for big organization, and typically by 2010, 90% of your application or your workload is virtualized. And to be able to back up everything and spending less than $50K in maintenance a year is huge. Right? or
VMware gives you their own VDP backup solution.
they do.
It works like a hot damn.
But a lot of companies want it to be separate. So it kind of comes down to the company culture, political reasons, technical reasons, business reasons. There's no right and wrong answer, right? So it kind of depends what you want to do. The building product is pretty good. It's part of the Avamar solution from EMC.
Works great.
So it's pretty good. But a lot of companies, they may want it to have a separate solution. Kind of depends, right? You make a good point, though.
Where's the value proposition? Those Veeam guys came to my office and did a big dog and pony show. And they, at the end of the day, they couldn't give me a value proposition why I should buy pony up $16,000 versus use VDP backup, which comes with my VMware Enterprise.
No, that's a great question because you invest a lot of money in VMware. So if it works for you, keep it. This is another option. It might not work for you. And I'm putting Veeam up there because it's been around for a while. There's other products out there as well too, right? And the idea is having options is great because there's no one solution that's going to work for you. At the end of the day, look at your environment, look at what your needs are, and then from there determine what's the right product. Next slide. And then let's start getting pretty popular. This all-in-one appliance. Anybody familiar with the all-in-one appliance?
What is it?
So Symantec, Barracuda, and Unitrend started having a solution that, okay, one part number, maintenance, one price. I'll give you all the lights, I'll give you all the feature sets. You can back up wherever you want, and you just buy based on the model of the appliance. So if you buy a high capacity appliance, the cost is going to go up. And so you scale it based on the size of your backup set. And it's pretty attractive, it's pretty cost effective. And I guess the downside, after 2 years, you either buy a new appliance, so the cost goes up. So it's that thing where you buy software and you just pay for maintenance ongoing, or you buy the whole thing, which is pretty cost effective, but over time, at one point you got to renew it.
How big is the device? What's the maximum capacity?
This one, it's discontinued, right? The backup deck, but backup deck is one that starts at 5 terabyte up to 12. The net backup one scales up to 500 terabyte. So that's on the enterprise. You're going to pay quite a bit for that, but if you have a need for it. So appliance started to become pretty popular. People don't want to deal with backup. They don't have to back up. They don't need to. And if they do need to back up, make it simple and easy. And then there's another product that kind of caught my eye too, is because the cloud is starting to be pretty relevant. What if you can, instead of having a secondary segment, pretty costly, pretty expensive, if you can back up to this appliance, and then based on your policy, or once you start filling up the capacity of this appliance up to 80%, if you can stream that to AWS or Azure. And then when you need to restore, you can either store locally or you can store from the cloud for longer retention. And typically, most people don't restore from the cloud or anything longer than 30 days. It's more of a compliance. So there's a lot of appliances now that give you the ability to back up locally and then stream it off to the cloud. It's so much more cost effective that you could have a second appliance if you have another co-location, another data center. But why do it when you can go to the cloud and the cost is so much cheaper than having the upfront cost? Next slide. And then we all hear about traditional IT versus SaaS, application infrastructure as a service. Whereas this model, you put it down to the right there. Do you need to do any backup? The idea is to have the service provider do your backup, and hopefully they'll do a good job with it. Next. Then there's another product which is pretty interesting to is be able to the backup software itself, be able to back up locally to whatever cheap storage you have, and also to replicate to the cloud. So within the software itself, you can send it to the cloud if you want to. Next slide. So what's the right backup solution or the right features that you're looking for? And it all kind of depends. You might want all virtualized, you might want features such as snapshot and replication. Next slide. Sorry. It didn't show up here.
Yeah, block here too.
Yeah, the idea here, what I put down here is snapshot and replication, which is the ability to snapshot the actual volume that's on the SAN, the storage system, and to have different versions of that. Some of the newer storage systems, like the hybrid system, you can use thousands of different snapshots. And at any point in time, you can replicate that to another appliance or replicate to the cloud. So depending on the different backup requirements, different services that you're looking for, you can do it on the storage layer, or you can do it on the VM layer, which is putting an H in, or just go directly to the VMware backup, the actual VM itself. Does that make sense? We have two options.